Show has time, looks for Deutsch. Deutsch at the one into the end zone.
Comes on to serve, dug out by Bishop. This to the middle and slamming one home.
And free ball to the crossover. Eilertson will get the pass for Hawley, set up left side. Rusted down with the kill. He'll play action now, look to pass over the middle. It's intercepted by Cole Hebel. Intercepted by Hebel, and he brings it back.
Set it up, Bostena left side. Big kill blocked at the net. Kept alive by the Greyhounds.
Fetting's got room, and here's Bo Fetting. Fetting's still on his feet. Fetting's gone. Bo.
Header serve goes to Kiera Johnson. A libero, but mishandles it. It's an ace.
Riddle 40, 30, he's loose, 20, 10, touchdown, Spartans.
Halstead Telephone Company and R&J Broadcasting Incorporated is proud to present to you this broadcast on yourliveevent.com.
Hello again. Welcome to the Coaches Show on yourliveevent.com. I'm Joe Lancello. We'll be talking some high school football with the coaches from Winnemac as well as Red Lake County. And we'll also start things off by going off the beaten track a little bit. Road running, that is. We'll talk cross country with the coach of the Hillsborough Central Valley Burros cross country teams, Kirk Zink. Welcome back to the Coaches Show on yourliveevent.com. Going to talk some cross country now. Kirk Zink is the coach of the Hillsborough Central Valley Burros, who had a really nice showing at the Ada Borup West Booster Meet last week. If I remember correctly, the girls were third and the guys were second.
Correct. Yeah, I think that's how the team scores shook out that day.
Christian Brist was the individual winner, or I believe on the boys' side, and he set a nice time of 16 minutes, 18 and a half seconds. Did I see right that that's his second personal best in about a week?
Yeah, he's a kid that does that, though. He doesn't put in a ton of miles over the course of the summer. So it takes him a little bit to get rolling into the year. Mid-September is when he starts to get into some of his better shape. But on the same token, obviously, we're hoping to peak the end of October, when it matters. But yeah, he set a personal best last Friday down in Moorhead at the Dragon Twilight down there. We thought it was just perfect conditions, nice and cool, really good competition. And then he goes out and does the exact same thing and even better, 10, 12 seconds better on Thursday in Ada, and got out to a ridiculously fast start. He doesn't always do that. Normally he gets out nice and calm and smooth, and then makes up ground in mile 2 and even more so in mile 3. But for him to get out like he did, I think he went 5:22 through the first mile, which is 8, 10, 12 seconds faster than we would probably ideally like. Didn't know if he was going to hold on against that many really, really good Western Minnesota kids, but he did, and ended up getting the win. And it was nice to see for him from a confidence standpoint. That's for darn sure.
That's got to be a tricky thing as a runner. You want to get off to a good start, but you don't want to get off to too good a start.
Correct. And everybody's different. We've got a couple kids on our team. Our number 2 kid, senior named Henry Nelson. That's a 400, 800 meter stud. Really, really good sprint kid that we've turned into a cross country kid. Terrific endurance, but he's a substantially better sprinter. And then our number 3 kid is my son, freshman Nico, who's the exact opposite. Little to no sprint speed, but just terrific endurance. He could maintain that pace for a 10K or longer. So everybody works different. Everybody's different. A kid like Henry, if he's in a race with 400 meters to go, he's probably going to win it. He's just that fast. His sprint speed is just that good to where he's probably going to win a race like that. Where you take a kid like Nico, he needs to have a lead coming into the last 200, 300, 400 meters, because he's not out sprinting many people right now. And everybody's different, and everybody knows that, and they gotta base their race philosophy, strategy, if you will, around their talents. And it was nice to see Christian jump out to a lead like that. He's a confident kid, but on the same token, a couple of these kids that he beat on Thursday in Ada had beaten him the week before down in Moorhead. So it was nice to see him kind of spin that around and not only update the personal best, but beat a couple kids that he had beaten or that had beaten him 6 days before that.
And I'm sure he'll see them again during the course of the year.
I would sure think so. It's our school allows us to do a lot of travel, and so we get into Minnesota quite a little bit. We see some of the really good teams, and in fact, like this next week, we're going down to Griak, and we're going to see 100 of the best teams in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa. So he's going to see some of those kids, but on the same token, there's positives and negatives to that. We want to get the North Dakota competition figured out before we get into our postseason meets. But on the same token, we don't want to see some of those kids 8, 9, 10 times, and a lot of the local meets, we get to some of the Class B East meets, and we see the same kids over and over and over, and it kind of gets kids into a rut. And all of a sudden, they're not trying to better themselves as much as they are just trying to run with that same kid that they've run with for a month straight. And nothing positive comes from that. It's monotonous and boring, and it leads to some lulls and some plateaus in the middle of the year. That's for sure.
That's interesting because in, say, baseball or football or some other sport, sometimes an athlete has come up with a new wrinkle, a new move. That doesn't necessarily happen in cross country, would it?
Not very often. No, you learn what you're good at. We hope that our best kids, we hope they come in with some base mileage, some good mileage on their legs, some good endurance built up over the course of the summer, and then once the season starts, we can work on speed work, we can work on pace stuff, we can work on hills, we can work on a lot of those types of things rather than just having to get them in shape. But on the same token, like you said, there's not a lot that goes into it. You either have certain tools or you don't. Yeah, you can improve a few things, but it's not a team sport where you're throwing different wrinkles in or different defenses or schemes or whatever else. You really can't do a lot of that. You have a limited gas tank. Some kids like to use it up early. Some kids like to save a little bit. Some young kids don't know what they're doing, and they'll try a variety of different things, and that's the beauty of 7th and 8th graders is they can try those things because it really doesn't matter. We want them to learn as they go. Every meet we talk, if you're going to make a mistake mid-meet, we want you to make a mistake going out too hard, trying to be competitive, trying to win a race versus just sitting back and then having way too much gas left at the end. So no, you're right. There's not a lot of wrinkles that go into it. That's why for us, we worry about 2 meets. We use every one of these as a learning experience. And then we worry about regionals and state, so we're hoping that we're in good shape and we're healthy and we've got everything fine tuned by the middle of October.
Kirk Zink is the coach of the cross country teams at Hillsborough Central Valley. You mentioned younger kids. That sounds like a perfect lead into your girls. A couple of 8th graders who have done well, Kimber Walker and Lily Caldor, and also Mila Caldor is a 10th grader that's still pretty young.
So on the girls' side, it's different. Cross country is substantially different on the girls' side. You take a 7th and 8th grade boy, they're not competitive very often. They just can't be. And we've got a terrific 7th grader on the boys' side, but that's an anomaly. You just don't see a lot of that. From a physical standpoint, they have a really tough time competing. On the girls' side, though, it happens all the time. I mean, we go back 10, 12, 15 years. We've always had really, really good 7th and 8th graders, competitive 7th and 8th graders. And it's no different this year. We're going to take our top 10 kids to Griak this weekend. I think of that top 10 group, I think we've got one junior coming with us. I believe we've got 1 or maybe 2 sophomores coming with us. All the rest of them are 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. And it looks terrific for the future. But on the same token, without trying to sound pessimistic, a really good 7th, 8th, 9th grader doesn't really guarantee anything on the girls' side. There's a lot of times that can be their peak. And that's the thing we want to emphasize with these girls is you got a lot of talent right now in the 8th or 9th grade. You need to capitalize on that. You need to be competitive and work hard because there's no real guarantees going forward, and there aren't guarantees on the boys' side, but it's substantially harder to dictate on the girls' side. I mean, you're not going to predict that very well. And you're right. I mean, we've got some of our absolute best kids. Mila Caldor's a sophomore, terrific leader for us. We got a couple freshmen that are lights out good. We're going to get Addie Sowery back in the next couple of days. She's a really good freshman. We got a bunch of good 8th graders. Like you said, Lily Calder and Kimber Walker, 2 of the hardest working kids I've probably ever coached before. Just a terrific young nucleus. The only issue we run into on our girls' side that we don't see on our boys' side is just from a confidence standpoint. Our boys are plenty confident. They have no real issues with walking into a meet knowing that they can do well. The girls, they just need to get to that point where they walk in and they understand, hey, I'm awfully good. I've got the ability to be an all-state runner. As a team, we should have high goals going forward. They need to prepare like that and compete like that. They're still a little bit tentative. They're getting better every single week, but they're still a little bit tentative and not fully under the understanding with that killer mentality like we've had some girls demonstrate in the past. That's for sure.
Kirk Zink, the coach of Hillsborough Central Valley, the borough's cross-country teams. You mentioned going to the Twin Cities this week for the GRIAC Invitational at the University of Minnesota Golf Course. I believe that is still where the Minnesota State Championships are held every year. Beautiful course and a great challenge.
As bad as it sounds to say, we go down there to kind of get thumped. We truly do. We a school our size, we have a tough time competing down there. We really do. Not from a individual talent standpoint, but from a depth standpoint. Team wise, we're gonna struggle, and we fully understand that. We expect Christian to have a terrific meet. Christian's going to be competitive. He's going to be a top kid. Henry and Nico could be just fine on the boys' side. A couple of our girls are going to be awfully competitive, but like I said, from a depth standpoint, we can't compete with some of these massive schools, some of these schools with backgrounds in history and tradition like you've never seen before. Our goal is multiple fold, if you will. Number one, we want to expose kids to a massive, overwhelming meet. So you take an 8th grader, you take Lily Calder, who's an absolute stud for us. You throw her on the course with 600 other girls on that massive starting line. She's going to be overwhelmed. She's going to be nervous. She's going to be anxious, and we expect that. And that's what we hope happens. We want her to see that. We want her to feel that, so that a month from now, we step on the starting line at regionals with 150 or 175 other girls. She's not nervous anymore. She's seen this stuff multiple times. We've traveled all over the place. We've been down to South Dakota at big meets, into Minnesota at big meets. They've seen those types of things. So it's not overwhelming anymore. Even the state meet, you get to the state meet, you got 250 kids. Well, shoot, that's probably the smallest race that's going to be run at GRIAC on Friday. So they've seen substantially bigger and better, to where it's not unknown. It's not something they've never seen before. Number two, as cheesy as it sounds, we go down there to have fun. We got a lot of kids, we got a lot of young kids. We got 51 kids in cross this year. I wouldn't be surprised if 6, 8, 10 of them are out because we get to go to the Valley Fair the day after GRIAC, and I can live with that. I really, truly can. We got a load of kids out, but as a coaching staff with the chaperones that we got, whatever else, we're willing to take on the challenge of taking 51 kids on a bus to Minneapolis for the weekend and spend the night in a hotel and around the Valley Fair and the whole works. It's exposure for our program. It's fun stuff that those kids get to do. Some of them will never be to the Valley Fair in their life. Some of them will never be on the University of Minnesota campus. A lot of them had never seen a meet or not even a cross country meet, but just a sporting event like GRIAC. It's nuts. I mean, the first time I saw it, I was in awe, and I'd been around cross country for a while, and like I said, there's a lot of reasons we go. It's one of the absolute highlights of the season for sure. And we're awfully excited for Friday.
At a meet normally in your conference season, you maybe see 8 dozen teams. At the GRIAC, you will see dozens.
Correct. I mean, you drive up. The most noticeable thing, you drive up, and literally there is a row of about 150 porta potties. Nobody's seen anything like that in their life. You know, we show up at local meets around here. There's 2 or 3 of them. You know, there's 3 of them at a big meet. You get there and there's 100 of them, and it's quite a spectacle. You know, you've got junior high races, you've got varsity races, you've got collegiate races, you've got multiple levels of collegiate races. You know, so we see the absolute best of the best from the upper Midwest. You got Big Ten teams from all over the country. It is an absolute spectacle. And it's awesome to see a lot of these young 7th and 8th graders that have never been before. They're going to get a month down the road and they're still not going to know what hit them with this meet. I mean, it's outrageous to watch. You know, I've thrown some old videos on our Facebook page of our teams competing in this in the past, and the group of kids coming over the hill. I mean, it looks like the scene from The Lion King. It just absolute hordes of animals running down this valley. It's awesome. I mean, it is cool to see. It's something that's hard to explain. You just got to get kids there and let them witness for themselves.
Well, Kirk, I hope you and the kids have a great time at the GREAC meet and also continued success in the season ahead. Thanks very much for your time today.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot for your time.
Kirk Zink, the coach of the Hillsborough Central Valley Burros cross-country teams. We'll continue with the Coaches Show right after this.
North Dakota state law requires students attending school to be up to date on immunizations that protect them from life-threatening diseases such as measles, chickenpox, mumps, or pertussis. Trail District Health Unit reminds parents to get your children all the recommended vaccinations for their health and the safety of our community. Contact Trail District Health Unit if you have any vaccination questions or if you would like to schedule an appointment. Call 701-636-4434 for Trail District Health Unit.
Hi, I'm Ernie Struby, president of the Goose River Bank. At the Goose River Bank, we believe in agriculture and rural communities. While several banks have changed their focus to larger cities, the Goose River Bank has remained committed to ag and serving our communities. Do you feel like your bank is no longer focused on you? With the technology available today, we can be your community bank no matter where your community is. The Goose River Bank believes in ag, and we believe in you. We believe that a strong bank builds strong communities, and we'd be proud to be your bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. I'm Joe Lancello, and we'll be talking high school football now. Brian Remick, the coach of the Red Lake County Rebels, joins us to talk about how things are going with his team.
We'll talk some Minnesota high school football now on the Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. Brian Remick is the coach of the Red Lake County Rebels, and they are off to a nice 3-0 start this year, courtesy of some solid wins over Fosston, Red Lake, and Lake Park Audubon. Brian, talk about how your season's gone so far.
Yeah, well, obviously, you know, when you start off 3-0, you got to be pretty happy with the way things have gone. So we got off to a good start here. We got a number of tough games ahead here, so but we're happy to be where we're at.
What have been some of the things that have gone well for you, and who are some of the people that have made things go well?
Well, you know, we got a lot of kids that back from last year. We started a pretty young team last year with 6 freshmen and 3 or 4 sophomores. So a lot of these guys returning have gotten experience. They put some time into the weight room and that kind of thing. You know, we had one of our senior captains, Damon Ferguson, who last year couldn't play as a junior as he was still coming back from an injury. So you put all those things together, and that's kind of been the recipe for some early season success here.
How's Damon been doing this year?
You know, he's been doing well. You know, they all been doing well. They all seem to mesh pretty well together. You know, he's been kind of chomping at the bit to be back. So he's been a good leader for us, and you know, definitely kind of a catalyst for all of them to follow.
It seems like your defense has been doing pretty well. You've been scoring some 30-some points a game, but allowing not nearly that much.
Yeah, it's kind of been, you know, a little bit of both. Obviously, offensively, we've been able to move the ball and do some good things, which then, you know, in turn keeps our defense off the field and that kind of thing. And then when you end up playing with a lead, it allows your defense maybe to be a little more aggressive and pin their ears back, so to speak. So, you know, both groups have done pretty well. There's still a lot of improvement that we need to do there. And, you know, like I said, we've got some numerous teams coming up that are real good football teams, and you know, we're going to be challenged as we go here.
Who do you see as the other teams that will be the teams to beat in your region or district?
Yeah, so in our, you look at our section when it comes to playoff time. I mean, you always got the perennial power of Manoma and Waubun, who are always just outstanding. Ada Borup West has always been right up there. PCW, Polk County West, lately have put together some really tough squads. So we've got all three of those ahead in our schedule at some point during the season. And then, of course, you'd have to somehow get through that gauntlet come playoff time as well.
Matter of fact, I saw Polk County West a couple of weeks ago when they played Warroad, and Warroad is the team you're going to face next.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they really, Polk County West played very well that game and was able to come out of there with a big win. So, we go up to Warroad here this week. They had that loss, and then they had a kind of a tough loss with Manoma and Waubun last week, kind of playing there in the rain on Thursday night. So they're a very good football team. They definitely have a big size advantage on us with some of the guys that they have up front up there. And, it's always a tough road trip to go up there. So, we're going to definitely have our hands full when we do.
Talk about making that road trip, because it's a long way to go, well over a couple of hours to get to Warroad. Obviously, they've got to make similar trips themselves, but it's not easy to just sit in a bus for a long time and then step back out and play football.
Right. Yeah. We, a lot of our trips are maybe an hour 15. So it is a little bit longer than what we're used to. So, it just means we might have to adjust a little bit of some of our warm-up activities just to get the legs going a little bit. But, again, it is what it is. And, every team's got to make the most of it. They got to make the most of it probably 4 times a year when they go on the road. So, we'll just go up there and get ready, and hopefully we can give and play one of our better games.
Well, we'll see what happens. That'll be Friday night when the Red Lake County Rebels head up to Warroad. Brian Remick, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck in the rest of the season.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Brian Remick, coach of Red Lake County football. We'll be back with more on the Coaches Show right after this.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits, including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career, doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9 in Ada, invites you to order your new Buick and Chevrolet vehicles from the Silverado, Trailblazers, Traverse, and Enclave. Lee Brothers is your authorized Chevrolet and Buick dealer, providing sales and a service to the area since 1975. For ordering your vehicles, talk with Mitch, Smurf, or Jay. Trust the experts who know your vehicles best and take advantage of great Chevy certified service offers today. Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9, Ada, 218-784-2000.
The Coaches Show continues on YourLiveEvent.com. More high school football on the way. We're going to move to the east a little bit, and we're going to reduce the number of players a little bit, talk about 9-man football, and Aaron Cook, the coach of the Winimac Patriots, joins me now.
Welcome back to the Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com. We're going to talk some 9-man football now with Aaron Cook, the coach of the Winimac Patriots. 2-1 on the season. Aaron, talk about your season so far.
Yeah, no, I think we've been off to a pretty good start to the season. The first couple games, kind of ramping up competition each week, and starting with Cass Lake, then a long road trip to Lake of the Woods. We've won those 2 games fairly handily, but, we knew we had some weaknesses we had to address, and those weaknesses kind of came out last Friday night against Grigla Goodrich Gatsky. We fell down 21-0 pretty early in the game. I'd say the first 6-7 minutes, but to our guys' credit that we made some adjustments. We fought back. We picked up our energy level a little bit, and we made a game out of it. It was 21-12. We had a chance to make some other things out of it. They punched one in late to make it 29-12, but I'm happy with our guys' progress from Friday night, and kind of happy with our progress on the season so far. Numbers for us are fairly limited. We started the year with 15 guys. We had 14 able to play week 1. We had 13 able to play week 2. Last week we still had 30, or we are back up to 15 able to play last week. And then we had a couple more kids join when school started, so they're finally able to go here next week now. So we'll be up to 17. So we can actually get a little bit of rotation going on some guys. So those first few games, we've had some guys be Iron Man a little bit, very little breaks in the field there. And I had to make sure our conditioning's up to par. A couple times in the game, you can tell our conditioning starts to affect some mental things a little bit, and maybe some forgetfulness along the way there. But no, for the most part, our guys done a pretty good job of fighting through, staying mentally strong, and just going, not being able to get a break.
That can be really tough to do with such limited numbers, just staying that focused for that long.
Yeah, no, exactly. So we told the guys that, very beginning of practice, and, some of the conditioning periods were pretty ramped up early on just to make sure we had our guys ready to go for Friday nights. So like I said, our guys have done a good job of fighting through, and we just got to keep doing that. Like I said, we got a couple more guys ready to go now. So we're starting to get some rotations a little bit more, which is good. But, fortunately so far, the injury bug has kind of stayed away, just some minor things here and there. But there's going to be things that come up throughout the season, like especially with limited numbers. Like we said, guys are going to have some wear and tear on their bodies, maybe a little bit more than teams that can rotate more guys in and out. So that's going to have an effect throughout the season. So we've got to make sure we take care of our bodies well. So come practice time, we limit contact really as much as we can. We do very, very little actual contact in practice, just to make sure when we get to Friday nights we are healthy and good to go.
That's interesting. It's kind of like what the NFL has been doing lately, the idea of not so much contact during the course of the week. And it seems to be working out for them, and hopefully will work out for you the same.
Yeah, we hope so. We've kind of practiced this philosophy for a little while now. Sorry, I'm just plugging my computer in before it dies here on me. We're good now. Yeah, no, we're like we said, we've had this kind of philosophy of practice wise for a while now. Even last year, numbers were low 20s, but we've been up in that mid 20s to low 20s the past number of years. So we do what we can to avoid any injuries throughout practice. Tuesdays are our one day we put on full pads actually in practice throughout the week. Wednesdays, helmet, shoulder pads, a little upper thud. But as far as tackling to the ground goes, I think we've had one day of practice all year long where we've done tackling to the ground drills against another person and ramp it up that way a little bit. So, we can get dummies out there. We get a lot of things out there, really teach the technique without having to actually the physicality and going to the ground with things like that.
Some of the guys that have stood out for the Patriots so far this season.
Jonas Fry's had a great start to the year for us. I know he's leading our the Central and North Sub-District in scoring. At least after week 2 he was, and he scored 2 more touchdowns week 3. So I'm thinking he's still in the lead. I haven't seen the stats yet. So he's done a great job. He's and our quarterback as well. And defensively, he kind of anchors us at the middle linebacker position as well, leads our team in tackles. Ryan Kangas as well. Jonas and Ryan were both all sub-district players coming back from last year. Ryan's a dynamic player. Special teams specifically keep it as far away from him as they can. They'll gladly punt the ball out of bounds and take a 15, 20-yard punt, then try keep it in play and get it his way because they know he can take it the distance any given time. So he's done a great job for us. Last game we had to put him up at outside linebacker too, and he did a great job coming up, setting the edge for us, getting everything ready to go there. And up front, I think Tom Revere's done a good job for us too. Senior slid into the center role this year. Bounces back and forth, some D tackle, some D end, done some really good things. And we got some other guys starting to step up. Some young guys got some learning curve still to go, but they're showing really good promise. Bergen Howard at times at linebacker, a sophomore, can show some really, really good things. He's going to end up being a very good linebacker for us. And we got some things to clean up along the way, but he's learning. Braylon Hamry had bouncing back and forth between linebacker and safety. He's showing some pretty good things. Alec Haskett as well between D and outside linebacker, learning some positions there, doing a pretty good job for us. So like I said, we had some senior leaders show us some things, and we've had some other guys starting to step up, fill their roles, and figure a few things out.
Who are you seeing or hearing about as some of the teams to beat in your particular district or region? I get mixed up on whether it's a district or a region or a section.
Playoff time, it's cut section, and then regular season, it's district. Fortunately for 9-man, our sub-districts and our sections kind of mirror one another. So we're able to play all the teams in our sections during our regular season to have for seeding purposes. And I think you got to look back to last year, and KCC was on the top last year. They made it to the state semifinals, and they bring a lot of good pieces back from last year's team. They're off to a 3-0 start. They're a really, really good football team. They got Schmiederberg in the backfield. They got a couple linemen who are really good, really big. Big coming off the edge is good. Their center on offense, I think he's about 330, 340. He gets off the ball well. Good player. And then their quarterback's back from last year too. So Kitson's got to be the favorite up in Section 8 until someone knocks them off or shows otherwise. And then, kind of knowing the other sections a little bit, looking down Section 6 a little bit. Ferta Beltrami's really good again this year. I know they graduated a lot of guys from last year's team, but they played a lot of youth last year too. I know they have a sophomore running back this year who's filling in really, really well. Isaiah Wright, I believe, is the name. And then the Sorensen, there's another feature back for them, does a good job. Nevis Fertile Friday night, I think it's going to be a fun game to see where teams stack up a little bit. Nevis had played Black Duck, was really good this year too. Last Friday, I think they won 19-14, 19-13, something like that was the final. So Nevis has got a good squad. So, those are probably your top 2-3 teams, and you mix in NCEUH on Section 6 as well. That's a pretty good top 4.
Now you get Stephen Argyle this week on the road. Is it at Stephen or at Argyle?
They play all their football games up in Argyle.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. I go back far enough when they were separate.
Yeah, it's been a few years now, but Stephen Argyle's got that great tradition. Their football program that they had tradition as Argyle, they had tradition as Stephen, and then when they combined to Stephen Argyle, they went on their 70-some game run there in the mid 2000s, and even throughout the past few years, they've been up near the top of the section plenty of times. And last year they were down a little bit, but this year they're off to an 0-3 start. But when you look at the teams they've played, they're combined 9-0, and they've had the lead at the end of the first quarter in all 3 of those games. So Coach Marcus is doing some really good things up there with the numbers he's got, and those guys come out, they compete, they've been hard every week. So we're going to expect that same effort from them.
And what are some other big games coming up in the Patriots schedule?
Obviously this week we got Stephen Argyle. Next week, homecoming week. Homecoming week always brings its sets of challenges. It's kind of a coach's nightmare with all the other distractions and things going on throughout the week. So we just try to make sure our guys are focused up for those couple hours we get them at practice. And then, hey, go ahead, have fun with homecoming. You're supposed to, but give me my couple hours of focus. And, homecoming week falls with KCC this year. We just got done talking about KCC and how good of a team they are. And then you look the next couple weeks after that, we got BGMR up in Badger this year. They were in the section championship game last year. They just went double overtime 2 weeks ago with Greg Goodrich Gatsky. So they're a solid team. And then week 7, I think, it'd be week 7 at that point. We got Warren Alvarado Oslo at home this year. Warren's a team that we knocked out of the playoffs last year. We went up there, beat them 6-3 upset. So we know they're going to have a few things to want to come down here and take it to us a little bit. Those memories kind of run deep. They bring a lot of guys back from last year's team, as did we. So it'll be 2 very similar teams from last year matching up again. So those are the next few opponents, and that'll be a fun stretch.
Fun games ahead for the Winnemac Patriot football team. Aaron Cook, thanks so much for your time.
Yes, thank you.
We'll be back with more on the Coaches Show on YourLiveEvent.com after this.
Welcome to a better banking experience with First State Bank. Locations in Grand Forks, Thompson, Buxton, Mayville, and Portland, First State Bank is here for you. Locally owned for over 120 years, we know you and the area. Banking for today with savings, checking, and loan services for business, personal, or agriculture. And helping to guide you to tomorrow with wealth management and insurance services. Today, tomorrow, together. First State Bank. Stop into our locations in Grand Forks, Thompson, Buxton, Mayville, and Portland, or visit online firststatebanks.com.
There is another way to minimize your farm's risk and protect its equity with margin protection coverage. This is Bethany Rentz, crop insurance agent with IRE Insurance. Margin protection provides coverage against an unexpected decrease or increase in operating margin. In other words, we can put a policy in place to protect you from changing input costs and crop prices on your farm. Let us help you explore this option between now and September 30th to get you covered. For more information, go to IREINS.com.
You're protected and appreciated at IRE.
That is going to do it for this edition of YourLiveEvent.com's Coaches Show. We'll be back with you with another new program next Wednesday night at 7. In the meantime, plenty of high school volleyball and football coming your way Thursday night, Friday night for football, and plenty more early next week. Just go here to YourLiveEvent.com to get a schedule. Look for your favorite team, your favorite sport, and you should have some enjoyment of what you want to watch. And you can watch this show again. Just go to YourLiveEvent.com, tell your friends and family from faraway places, and they can just watch it right here, YourLiveEvent.com. I'm Joe Lancello. Thanks for watching.